Good evening. In previous session, we have seen the concept of lambda functions, and there we have seen three types of functions like reduce, next one is filter, and next one is map. We have seen for the examples to pass the functions to another functions. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about function aliasing and also nested functions. So first, let us see about function aliasing. So already in previous sessions, we have seen about the concept of list aliasing and set aliasing and so on. We have seen many different type of concepts regarding to this aliasing. So what is meant by aliasing? So once again I'm repeating the same concept. So the name of this particular person is Raju, so he is also called as Chinnu, for example. That means here only one person is there, he is going to be called as Raju and also Chinnu. That means this is alias name. Okay, only one person is going to be accessed by using two names, so this name is called as what? Alias name. So now we are talking about function aliasing. That means we can create an alias name for a function also. That means if I am going to create a function, for that there will be one name will be there, and if I want to keep one more name for that function, I can have. So for example, I'm going to take a small function here. So here I'm going to take hi function. In this I am going to write some statements. So now the name of this function is what? Hi. So I want to give one more name for this function. That is, I am going to give hello equal to hi. That means from now this function is going to be pointed by both hello and hi. So here one function is created. The name of this function is what? Hi. Inside some statements is there up to here. After that, what I am going to do? I am going to write hello equal to hi. That means hello is also going to point to the same function. So this concept is called as what? Aliasing. So how to know whether both are same or not? That means whether both are pointing to same function or not. So better use hi of some name. For example, I'm going to call Shiva, and also call hello of Shiva or hello of Ram I am going to call. So both the function calls should return me the same type of output. That means both has to call the same function, so that I can say that this hello is the alias name for hi. And if you want to check the IDs also, let us check ID of hi. So it will give you some address. In the same way, if I am going to check ID of hello, if these two are having the same address, then I can say hi and hello. Sorry, for hi function, I am having alias name as hello. So once I will take a small example so that you can understand easily. So first I have to consider one function. So just I'm going to define a function hi. I'm going to pass one argument, one parameter as name. So here just I want to print the name. So print, for example, I'm going to take hi, some name I want to print here, whatever we are going to pass to it, and I want to say good evening. Okay. Now observe. So here I'm going to write a function called as hi. Now hello equal to hi. Hello equal to hi I'm going to write. So what happens here? Already hi function is there. Now from this statement onwards, that hi function is also pointed by this hello. That means if I call hi, same function is going, this function is going to be called. In the same way, if I call hello also, the same function is going to be called. For example, let us see. Hello of, I am going to write Shiva. What should be the output of this function calling? The Shiva is going to pass to this name. And here what I am doing, hi Shiva, good evening. It has to print what? Hi Shiva, good evening, it has to print. Next, if I call hello of Ram, for example, same again, it has to call which function? Same function, because here I have done what? I have kept a separate alias name for this hi, that is what? Hello. So hello of Ram also it is going to call which one? Same function, that is hi function only. So the output of this program should be what? Hi Shiva, good evening. Hi Ram, good evening. So let us see let us see the output of this program. Okay. So now observe the output of this program. So see, what is the output? Hi Shiva, good evening, and hi Ram, good evening. Now I want to find the IDs of both hi and hello. That is ID of hi. ID is going to give what? Address of hi, and also if I am going to write ID of hello. So as these two are pointing to the same function, both the ID of hi and ID of hello will be same. So you can observe here, see here. What is the values we got here? 462, 235, 904, and for hello also we are going to get the same output. That means we are going to point, that is hi is going to point to same function and hello is also pointing to the same function. This concept is called as what? Function aliasing. That means I am going to keep alias name for the function. Okay. So now let us see one more example, and where I am going to delete the reference. That means here what I have done, I have created a hi function here. So see here, first I have created a hi function. So define hi, I have passed some name, and internally I am going to execute some statements. So here what I have done, hello equal to hi. So already I told you what, every function is also an object. So whatever the statements that are present inside this function, let us consider all those statements present here, and it is what, it is referred by what name? Hi. Now what I am doing, hello equal to hi, that means this hello is also pointing to this hi only. So if I access hi, it will execute these statements. If I access hello, it will execute same statements. Now the concept is, for example, I want to delete, listen carefully, I want to delete hi. So hi is pointing to one object. So if I write delete hi, del hi, this generally what happens, object has to be removed. When I'm going to write del hi, object and reference will be removed. But here what happens, here we are having one more reference to this object, so that this object will not be removed. So don't worry, let's take a small example. See here, just I am writing once again here, hi name, just I am going to only hi. So now what happens, tell me, here I am going, here an object is created which is a hi. Hi is nothing but a function. In our Python, function is also an object. So all these statements are present inside this object. Now the concept is, who is referring to this function, that is object? Only hi. If I write a statement called as del hi, what happens? The reference will be removed and also the object will be removed. This is the case if I'm going to write only, there is no concept of aliasing. But here what happens, for the hi only, we are having what, hello is a alias name. So if I delete hi, only the reference will be removed. Reason is what, hello is already pointing to it, so hello should not, so this object should not be removed. For generally, I will take a small example for this. So time is or let us consider college timing is up to 4:30 p.m. So one faculty is inside a classroom, so will this door will be closed or not? If faculty is already present inside a room, this particular classroom will not be closed. Let us consider if faculty is not there here, then this room is going to be closed. Now here, if there is only one faculty, if two faculty are there, for example faculty 1 and faculty 2, now if faculty 1 left this room, if will this room is going to be locked? No. Reason is other faculty is there here, so the room will not be closed. That means if at least one reference is available for that object, then the object should not be removed, because this object is accessing this object. Okay, so in the same way here, this faculty 2 is accessing this classroom, so we should not close this classroom. At least if one reference is going to point to an object, then that object should not be removed. If no references are pointing to an object, then that particular object can be removed. Here we can observe, so for this object, how many names are there? Only one reference is there, that is hi. So if I write del hi, what happens? I am deleting this hi automatically. If there is no reference for this object, the object also will be removed. Reason is what? I have removed this reference. Automatical object also will be removed. But whenever we are going to consider one more reference for this one, here what is going to be happen? If we are going to delete this hi also, this hello is pointing to this object. So the object will not be removed. Only this reference is going to be removed. So I will show you the same example what I have shown here. First, I'm going to create only hi. I don't want to alias that one. So see here, just I'm going to take only hi and I'm going to execute this program. So we are going to get output as what? Hi Shiva, good morning. Now here I'm going to do what? Del hi. Okay. Now you cannot observe the difference. You will not observe any difference between before execution and this execution. But if I write, for example, if I write here hi of Ram, I am going to write. Okay, Ram, I am going to write. So now observe here, if I am going to execute this one, first it has printed what hi Shiva, good morning is printed. But second time when I am calling this hi of Ram, what happens? It is telling that name hi is not defined. Why it is telling in that way? Because I have deleted that. I have deleted that hi. That means I have shown you the first case. I have deleted this hi. If I access hi after this statement, what happens? This hi is not available. So we are going to get what? An error saying hi is not defined. Now, next case is, that is, I am going to keep alias name for this hi. That is hello I am going to keep. You can keep any name, but now I am going to write, for now I'm going to write it as a hello. Now see here, if I write hello Ram here, observe one thing, hello of Ram I am going to write. Okay, now I am not going to write this one. Okay, here I am going to remove this one. Let us observe what is the output we are going to get. So no problem, we are getting hi Shiva, good evening, and hi Ram, also good evening. Now I am going to delete hi. That means hi is going to be removed. So the output will not will be same, no problem. Now see, after deleting hi, if I try to access hi function once again, what happens? We are going to get an error saying name hi is not defined. But if I am going to write some hello of Sai, what happens here? Hello of Sai is already, it is there, but hi reference is removed. So now output will be what? We are going to get output as hi Sai, good evening. So this case you have to understand. So once I will explain the same case once again, because it may lead to some confusion. So once again I will explain this program scenario. Listen carefully. So here I am going to take one function. So as we know that every function in our Python is what? An object. So when I'm going to create this one, let us consider internally some space is allocated for this hi, and whatever the statements I have written here are present in this object. Now if I am going to call this one hi, these statements are going to be executed. Yes, no problem. Now when I am going to write delete hi, then what happens here? This object is referred by only one reference. If I remove this reference, is anyone is referring this object? No. If no one is going to refer that object, it thinks that what? It is a waste. So garbage collector is going to remove deallocate the space that is provided for this object. That means this object also will be removed. So once again, if I try to call hi, what happens? Hi is not there because it is removed here. So here what we are going to get? We are going to get error. This is first case what we have seen. Now second case is, now see, I am going to consider second case. In second case, what happens? I have taken one function here. Same define hi I am going to take, and some statements are there. For example, hi is there. In that hi is an function name, and here we are having some statements. Now I am going to write what? Hello equal to hi. That means hello is also nothing but what? Hi only. That means the same object is going to be referred by hello also. Now here if I call hi, these statements will be executed. If I call hello, the same statements will be executed. Now if I am going to delete hi, that means what I have deleted? Only hi I have deleted. That means this reference is going to be removed. That means it is going to be removed. And if I call hi here, is there any hi? No, hi is not there here. So here we are going to get an error. Okay, in this case I am going to get an error. But is hello is there? If I call hello function, is it there? Yes, it is there. So we are going to get the output. Okay, this is the case. For example, so this is the first scenario. For example, next second scenario is, second case is del hello. Now I'm deleting what? Now let us consider it is already. Okay, now observe here. So del hello is there. That means I'm deleting what? Hello. Just I will okay, see now here already, for example, hi is there. Here already hi is there. Now I'm deleting what? Del hello I'm going to delete. That is, this reference is going to be removed. So automatically this is going to be removed. Now if I try to access hello, is it possible to access? It is not possible to access because hello is already deleted. Now if I call hi, what happens? So in this case we are going to get what? Error. But in this case what happens? In this case we are going to get output. So first case I have shown you. Let us go to second case. This case I will show you now. Now see, here I have deleted hi and I used hello. If I am going to delete hello, for example, and if I try to execute hello, let us see what happens. So we are going to get what? Hello is not defined. Now if I try to write here hi, now there is no problem because here we have observed that one. So what happens? Is hi is there or not? Yes, hi is there. Hi is available here. So it will execute these statements. So we are going to get correct output only. Okay. So this is about function aliasing in our Python. Okay. For every function, for functions, one point you have to remember every time, that is function is an object in Python. Okay. So we can also alias the functions. Okay. That means what? For the same function, I can give other name also. By using that second name also, I can access that function. By using first name also, I can call that function. So now let us try once again. One more thing I will try now. That is here wish I am going to write. Wish equal to hello I am going to write. Observe carefully. Wish equal to what I am going to write. Hello I am going to write. Just I want to call wish of hello I want to call. Sorry, wish of some Prasad I want to call. Observe carefully. What happens here? Output is generated. What I have done here? I have created only one function. Okay. For that one function, first I have aliased with what? The alias name is what? First alias name is hello. This step. This step is what? Alias name is what? Sorry, this step. Hello is equal to hi. That means first alias name is hello. Second name also, third name also I'm going to keep it. That is what? Wish equal to hello. That means hello means what? The same object. For this I'm going to point with what? Wish. Okay. So if you want to observe clearly, just I will print all the IDs. That is ID of hi. Okay. It will give you what? Where that ID function is present. The address it is going to give. For example, here hello. So here I'm going to write wish. So if you see this case, see what is the addresses we got? All are same. That means here alias names can be any number. Okay, but generally if we want to use, we will take one or two. We will not go more than two. Okay, so this is the concept of aliasing. So once the name is removed, for example, if I am going to remove this reference, only this reference will be removed, but not this object. If I am going to remove this one, only this will be removed because this object is pointed by this hi. If I remove this third one also, then if I want to access this one, we will not get any output, we will get an error. When I delete last reference, first I have removed hello. So if I remove hello also, I can access this function by using wish and hi. If I remove wish also, I am having one more reference so that I can access with hi. If I remove hi also, this is the last reference that is pointing to this object. If I remove this last reference also, no one are going to refer this object. So what happens? The object also will be destroyed by the garbage collector. So who is garbage collector, what he is going to do, let us see later. Okay, now just understand that if it is an object, if no one is going to refer this object, automatically that object is going to be removed. Okay, right. Now next concept is nested functions. Okay, very important concept. So first let us see what is meant by nested functions. So only one statement I will give so that you can understand clearly. A function inside a function, a function defined inside a function is called as a nested function. Inside a function, or we can write inside another function, is called a nested function. That is, let us take one small example here. Here I am going to write this one, we have to understand so that we will understand how the program executes. First I will write a small syntax here. Just I am going to write define outer. Next, in this, that means inside this outer function, I am going to write inner function, and here I am going to write some statements. For example, this is line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. Next, I am going to write something here, 5th line, 6th line. We have to observe carefully here. So this is what outer function. What are the things that are present in outer function? So see here, whatever the statements that are started in this line. So in this indentation, so you can observe what this defined inner is belonging to outer. This 5th line is belonging to outer. 6th line is belonging to outer. But what about 1, 2, 3, 4? It is written inside a inner. How you can say these 1, 2, 3, 4 lines are written inside an inner? Because after writing define inner, after here we have given what indentation, 4 tabs, 4 spaces I have given, or we can consider 1 tab space we have given, so that these all indented lines under this inner are belonging to inner only. But is there any indentation to this one? No. So that these are belonging to this outer. For example, if I write something here, the 7th line, so it is not indented to this one, it is non-indented to this one. That means the 7th line is not belonging to outer or inner. Okay, compulsory we have to understand this one. That is, listen here. For example, this is outer. Inside this, what I am having? I am having inner. Inside this inner, how many lines are there? 4 lines are there. Next, outer, how many are there? 5, 6 are there. Now listen carefully. Here, observe one thing. Just I want to call this outer. Outer is somewhere, I am somewhere. Just I will call what? Outer. Just I will call outer. Automatically, I will enter into outer. That means I will come into this area. Inside this area, what is there? Again, some block is there. I cannot access this block directly. So I can access only 5 and 6 directly. Okay. Next, this is very important to understand. Observe carefully. What I am going to call? I am calling outer, so that I will come here. I cannot access 1, 2, 3, 4. Reason is these 1, 2, 3, 4 are again present inside one more block. That is called as what? Inner function. So I cannot access directly. So I can access directly what? 5 and 6 ones I can access directly because they are available in this scope. Okay. Now, how to call this inner? If I call from here inner, let us consider I am calling inner here. So it will search for inner here. Is it inner? No. It will not go to this one. It will not go inside this one and check for inner. It will check only outer scope where inner is present. Is inner is present here? No. So that if I write inner here, we are going to get an error. Then from where I have to call inner? See, from here I can call inner. From here, if I call inner, the control goes to here, then it will execute this block. This scenario you have to understand. Once again, I will repeat the same thing, because if you understand this one, if I show example, you will get a clarity on that one. Now see, here I am going to consider what? I am going to consider a function called as outer and a second function called as inner. In inner, I am going to have 4 statements. In outer, I am going to have 2 statements. And outside of 2 functions, I am going to have 7th line. That is the statement. One statement is there that is named as 7th line. So this is called as what? Outer. In this outer, how many things are there? One block is there. One function is there. Let us take it as a one function here. So it is named as what? Inner. In inner, how many statements are there? 4 statements are there. Let us name it as 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, Outer, how many lines are there separately? 5 and 6. That means here 5 and 6 are there. That is, listen carefully. I will take one example here. This is my house. This is my house, and here two two separate portions are there here. Listen carefully. This is my brother portion, and this is mine. So if I enter into my house, observe carefully. If I enter into my house, I can access what? I can access only my house. Okay. Next, if my brothers enter into this one, he can access only this particular portion. That means this is what I can call. If I want to access my home, I have to call mine. Then I will go to here. If I want to access my brother home, I will write brother. So we can access brother. But now the concept is, here there is one house. Inside that, one small locker is there. This is locker. So now this keys, let us consider this keys is with owner. Okay. One maid is there. Okay, maid. He is working in this house. So this maid can access what? He can access everything here. He can access everything outside of this locker. He can clean here. He can she can use here this location, and he can clean, or he can do anything outside of this location. But who can access this locker? Where is this locker? Inside house. Okay. From who can call this locker? Only the people who are present inside this house. Okay. So from this area only we can call this locker. But maid belongs to whom? Outside this house. So he cannot access this one. He can access what? He can call this house, and he can come inside this house, and he can access this area. But he cannot access this locker. Who can access this locker? Only from the house they can access this locker. Now locker. Okay. Now observe this case here. So if I want to access this particular outer function, from here I can call outer. So it is available here, so that directly the control goes to here, and we will enter into this scope, outer scope. That is what? Only I can see one function inner and 5-6 lines. So I can directly execute 5th line and 6th line. So to execute this inner, who has to call? This inner is present inside this scope only. That means from here only I have to call as inner. Then what happens? This will be called, and all these statements are going to be executed. Okay. Just I will take a small example so that you will get a an idea of this inner functions. So just see here. I am going to write define outer. That means I am going to write one function. So to make you understand, I am going to write outer function name as outer only. I want to define one statement here. So print of, just I want to write here, I will pass one name, for example, or some message. For example, I'm going to some message. So that message is going to be printed here. So MSG, whatever I'm going to pass, that is placed in MSG in outer function. In outer function, I am going to call. Okay, I'm going to print. Now I want to write inner function now. So define inner. Okay, here also this is the inner function. I don't want to pass any arguments. So now observe one thing. Here I want to print the same thing. Same thing I want to print. But where I am printing this one? Inside inner function. Inside inner function. Okay, right. Now the concept is, so outer function I have written, inner function I have written. If I want to call this inner function, from where I have to call? From outer scope. That is, from here I can call. Okay, that is this. If I call inner, what happens? It will go to this inner function. Okay, right. Now let us consider, I don't want to call this one. First I want to show all the cases. Later I will call. First I will call outer. Okay, what you think the output is? So I will write one more statement here. Here I will write the print of, after inner I am going to write after inner. Okay, now what will be the output of this program? So what happens when I call outer here? It goes to outer. Oh sorry, I have to pass some message. I am going to pass some hi. I am going to pass, just I am going to pass some hi. So the in message I am having what? Hi. So it is going to print what? Directly to come into this one. It will print what? Hi in outer function. So it will not enter into this inner because I have not called this inner. So it will not enter into this inner. So it is in outer function only. So it will be printed. That is what after inner is also going to be printed. That means only two lines are going to be printed. One is high in outer function and second line is what after inner. Now the case is, now I want to call this inner also. From where I have to call? From, for example, here I am going to call. Here I have to call inner. Now see, when I call outer of high, what happens? The control goes here. It will print what? High in outer function will be printed. So it will not enter into this inner. And I come to this statement. What I am calling here? I am calling inner. So the control goes to this inner and it will print what? Message in inner function. That is what high in inner function. So the function is completed. The control comes back to here and it will print what? After inner. Now how many lines the output is going to be? 3 lines the output is going to be. That is what? High in outer function, high in inner function, and also after inner. This one you have to understand. So once again I am repeating, whenever, so separately I will keep some space, I will keep so that you can understand clearly. So see, now here when I call outer high, the control goes to this one. That means the function is going to, we are calling function outer, so it goes to this outer function and I am passing one argument that will be passed to MSG. And inside this first statement is what? Print statement is there. So high will be printed, in outer function is going to be printed. Now this is what a function. If I want to execute the content or statements of the function, compulsory that function has to be called. Okay, so this will not be executed. After in this outer, what is there? This is first line. Here some function is there. After that inner is there. That means inner is what? A function name. So whenever the statement is going to be executed, the control goes to this inner. Okay, then what happens? See, from here the control goes to this inner. Okay, now here it will print what? Message, that is high in inner function will be printed. After that this function is completed, the control come back to where? This line, and it is going to print what? After inner. So here also this outer function is completed, the control come back to this line. Is there any line here to execute? No line is present here, so our program is completed. So let us see now some cases regarding to this inner and outer function, so that we will get clarity on this one. So what is that means? Here I will take, just I will print what? Print of after, otherwise I will write just outside of outer and inner. Okay, when this outside of outer and inner function will be printed? When both the functions are executed. Reason is, first I am calling what? Outer of high. So first it will be called. So this statement will be executed. This will not be executed. And now inner I am calling. Now this will be executed. That means what? Second line is what? High in inner function will be printed. The control comes back to here. After inner is going to be printed. So after inner is the last line of this outer function. So this function is completed. Who called this function? Main. Okay, what is meant by main we will discuss later. Main is going to call. So here outer of high, from here I have called this function. So after completing this function I will go back to the here second next line of this outer. So here what I am printing? Outside of outer and inner function. The output is what? High in outer function. Next one is what? Next high in inner function. After inner, outside of outer and inner function is going to be printed. Okay, so this is a small example to demonstrate about nested function. Now I want to discuss what is the purpose of this particular inner function, when we have to use this inner function. Sorry, the concept of nested function, that is, listen carefully. So whenever in my program I want to perform some statements, that is what? Line 1, line 2, and so on, line 100. That means 100 lines of code I want to execute 10 times. Observe carefully. I want to execute how many times? 10 times. Let us think there is no concept of functions. So how many lines of code will be there? One time, first time, next line 100, second time, and so on. Line 1, so on, line 100. This is 10th time. How many lines of code is there? There is 1000 lines of code is there. If there is no concept of function, what happens? 1000 lines of code is going to be written here. But now I am going to use the concept of functions. Now what I have done, just I am going to write some function. Inside this I am going to write line 1 and so on line 100. So 100 lines are present in where now? In a function. So just how many times I require? 10 times. So just I will call function one time, second time, and so on 10th time. Now how many lines are there? Here let us consider 100 lines are there, and here I am going to have 10 lines. Total how many lines of code are there? 110 lines. That means here the code is going to be reduced by using the concept of functions. This is first concept. Second concept is what? The same code is going to be repeatedly used. So that is what? Reusability concept. That means same thing is going to be repeatedly used. That is nothing but reusability. So the main advantage of function is what? Reusability, and we are going to decrease the length of the code automatically. Once the length of code is going to be decreased, time is going to be decreased, and complexity is going to be decreased. Now we are talking about what? Nested functions. This is about a function. Now I'm talking about what? Nested functions. So when I have to go to one minute, when I have to go to the concept of functions, if I want to perform any activity repeatedly, then better to write that repeatedly occurring activity inside a function. Now I want to perform one activity inside a function repeatedly. Listen carefully. If I want to execute some activity which contains 100 lines repeatedly, I am using this function. But now the concept is I want to execute an activity inside a function repeatedly. Then what I have to do? So see here, define function. Here inside this function I want to repeatedly access some 10 lines of code repeatedly. Okay, so repeatedly I am going to use. I want 10 times. Okay, otherwise less than 100 lines here. Okay, 10 times I want to repeat at the 100 lines. So how much code is there here? Once again, 1000 lines of code. So now to decrease this, what I have tried, then I have to go to where I require this code, 100 lines code, inside a function. Inside a function I have repeatedly used this 100 lines. Now if I want to write the same 100 lines inside a function, I require one more function. That for example I am going to do it as an inner. Here I am going to write what? 100 lines code. Now where I require this 100 lines? Inside this function. So I have declared one more function inside this function. That function is called as what? Inner function, or we can call it as a nested function. Now who can call this one? Who can call? Where it is first? In inner. Where inner is present? In function. So from function you can call this inner. So function is present in outer scope. So if I want to call this function anywhere from here, I can call function. Okay, then this can be called directly. But if I call this inner, where this inner is present? Inside a func. Okay, if I want to call this inner, we can call directly from this function only. From here I can call this inner. Okay, now observe this. Okay, I have already shown you that output here. You can see here I have shown you already this one. So here what we have observed, this is the reason whenever you require this type of concept, we have to go to the concept of nested functions. That is, if we require a function repeatedly inside another function, then we have to use the concept of nested functions. Okay, this is the scenario where we are not having the concept of nested functions, but this is the scenario where we are having the concept of nested functions. So here the how many lines are there? 1000 lines are there. Here how many lines will be there? 110 lines will be there. So I have explained for normal function here, for nested function here, so that you can understand clearly about this inner and outer function. Okay, that is nested functions and normal functions. So just I will take one small application. So some same thing I will write You can write any names. One thing you have to observe here, you can write any names, but I am taking only outer and inner here. Reason is, as these are the starting programs, you may confuse if I take different names. So if I take outer and inner, so it will be flexible for you to understand. Okay, so that I am taking only outer and inner. So here I am taking inner function as inner. Here I want to perform some operation. So that operation is, I want to perform sum and average of two numbers. Where I want to perform that operation? Inside a outer function. Inside a outer function repeatedly. So if I want to repeat anything, any code inside a outer function, for that I am going to write one more function called as inner. So what is that one? Just I want to perform what? A plus B I want to perform. Okay, and I want to perform average also. Average is what? A plus B by 2. Okay, in this way I can perform. Otherwise, to not make this one as a complex, I will use parenthesis. So you can clearly understand. First, which one will be executed? A plus B will be executed as per the operator precedence, and later divided by will be done. Now observe carefully. Now I want inner of, for two numbers 10 comma 20. I want sum and average of this one. So here I want to use some inner of some 30 comma 50. So here I am going to use one more thing, inner of 100 comma 200. Now observe carefully here. So I want to use this code repeatedly. How many times? 3 times I want to use. So that I have written here inner function. If I want to use only one time, no need of using the concept of inner functions. Directly write this code inside this outer and call outer. That's enough. Only one time it is going to execute. But if you want to repeat the same thing multiple times, better to write inner function or nested function. You may think that why can't we write directly this code? For example, directly this code inside this outer. Yes, we can write, but my concept is what? I require the code to be executed multiple times inside this outer function only. Okay, multiple times. I am not requiring outside of these functions. I am not going to require to execute here. I don't want these type of statements. If I write in this way, what happens? I am going to execute these things outside of the function, but I require the functionality where? Inside this outer function. So that if you require anything repeatedly inside a function, that has to be written inside a one more function, which that is called as what? Nested function. And this nested function will be accessed from the outer function only. Now just I have to call only once, that is outer. I'm not going to call anything, just I'm going to call what? Outer, and see the output what it is going to print. See what happens. First it is going to do what? 30 and 15 is for what? First time inner is called. Here 10 is passed and here 20 is passed. So 10 plus 20 is executed, and here average is going to printed. After executing inner, what happens? The control comes back to here. Next 30 comma 50. Here what happens? Again the two values is going to be sent here. 30, 50 is going to be passed to A and B. Now print of A plus B. 30 and 50 is going to be added here. 80 will be printed. Next here average is going to be printed, and control come back to this statement. Inner of 100 comma 200. The control goes to here, and it is going to add. It is going to take the average, and now the control come back to here. Is there any statement to execute? No. It is the end of outer. No, nothing is there to execute this in outer. So we will come out of this one. That means from here I have called outer. So the control come back to here. And is there anything to execute outside this one? Nothing is there. So the program is going to be ended. So we are going to get output as sum and average of two numbers. Okay. So this is about a nested function. So I want to show some cases here. That case is here. If I try to access inner, what happens? So see, inner of I am going to pass 10 comma 50 I am going to pass. The thing is, it cannot find inner directly. It cannot find, because where inner is present? Inside a outer. Okay, but where I am calling, see here, this particular define outer is visible from this area, so I can call outer here. But where this inner is present? Inner is present inside a outer. So which is not visible from the outside. So outer is visible here, no problem, but inner of 10, 50 is not visible from the outside because outer function is there. Okay, let us consider one small example. I will take here. See, here I am going to take one small example to make you understand. Okay, now see, here some boundary is there. Here one person is standing. This is called as boundary. For example, what he can see only the boundary. He don't know what is present inside. In the same way, if I am calling anything outside of this function, it can see only outer. It don't know what internally present. Now internally something is present here. This is called as, for example, swimming pool. For example, swimming pool. Okay, can this outside person can see the swimming pool? No, he cannot see. He can see what? Only this boundary walls he can see. Now who can see the swimming pool? From here, the persons who are inside this boundary only can see the swimming pool. That means if I want to access this swimming pool, only from inside this swimming pool, inside this boundary only I can access, because it is visible to me. But if he want to access anything, he can access what? Only this boundary, because he can see only boundary. He cannot see this one. So if I try to access, if he tries to access this one, it is not visible to him. He cannot access. Now see that case here. So the same thing I am doing. Outside person is trying to access inner. Is it possible to do? Is it possible? It is not possible. So what is going to happen? Name inner is not defined. You may think that, sir, it is defined here, but it is not visible for the outside calling. So the same example, if you understand, it will be clear to you. So only this person outside of this boundary can see only the boundary. He cannot see the inner things. Who can see inner things? Inner things can be seen by the callings which is present inside this boundary. Okay, right? That means if I want to execute inner function, I have to call inside this outer only. So this is the case of nested functions. Here I want to discuss two more points about this one, that is returning a function. So here what I have shown you, just I have shown you a nested function. Now very important concept, I want to return a function. Returning is also a function. So just I will remove all these things. So this is somewhat complex. We have to listen somewhat carefully here. So in our Python, we can return a function from other function. Okay, just I will show you that one. So just I want to write here one statement, that is print of. I will write this as a outer function. Outer function. Okay, completed. Now in this inner function, I don't want to make this one as a complex. Just I want to print one statement here. Just I want to print. This is where this is a inner function. Just I will write inner function. I am going to write here. Okay. Now I want to return what? I want to return one function. The concept is what? Returning a function. So here I want to write print of. I am going to write outer function returning. Okay, what it is going to return? I want to return some inner function, returning inner function. Okay, now listen, observe carefully here. Just the statement what I am going to write here is belonging to outer only. Return inner. Observe carefully here. I will remove all these statements here. Now observe, this statement belongs to outer, this statement belongs to outer, this statement belongs to inner, this statement belongs to outer, this statement belongs to outer. So now if I call outer here, what will be the output of my program? So first I will show you different cases. Just I will call as outer. So what is the output you are going to see? Just only two statements, that is what? Outer function and outer function returning inner function. What happens here? I will explain. So first when I'm calling this outer, it goes here and it prints what? Outer function. So it will not enter into this one. So then what happens? Print outer function returning inner function is printed. Okay. then what happens here? It is going to return something here. Okay, what it is going to return? I have not printed. If I print it, if I'm going to print something here, it's going to print as none. But I want to execute this inner function also, this statement also. Then what I have to do means, just I want to write this. See here, just I will write this function equal to outer. Now I am assigning this outer to function. Now here, observe carefully. I am going to call as a function. Oh, listen carefully here. What happens? Now see. Here, I am going to call func. Func is nothing but what? Outer. Okay. Here, I am going to call this outer, and it is going to print what? Outer function. And next, it will come to here. Outer function returning, inner function is going to print. Now it will return inner when something is going to be returned. What it is going to return? Inner. Inner means what? It will go to here. Inner means what? It is going to it will go to here. And here what I have written? Inner function will be printed. Here inner function will be printed, and control comes back to here. Okay, nothing is there to execute. So return means what? It will return directly here. So in function, what is there? In function, nothing is there. Okay, none is there, none will be there. So here directly I am going to write function, so none will not be printed. If I print it, it will print. So what happens here? Three statements are printed. Now if you want to see what it is going to return, just I will print as print of function. Okay, now observe carefully. So see what happens. None is going to be printed. So once again I will explain clearly. Listen careful. Now see, initially what happens? I am going to call outer from here. Okay, outer from here. What happens? The control goes to this one. Okay, now here what happens? Next case, it is going to print outer function. So first output is what? Outer function is going to be outer, 1 minute, function, sorry, okay, anyway, outer function is going to be printed. Next, it will come to this one. Second is what? This one. Second is going to print it. This secondly, it is going to print this one as what? First statement. Now here what is there? Return inner is there. What is meant by inner here? This function. So the control goes to this function, and it is going to execute what? Inner function. That means this is executing third. It will execute third. Next, directly it is going to return where? I am telling return inner. So inner is completed. Directly the control comes to here. It is returning anything here? It is going to return nothing. So in outer, the return is what? None is there here. So here in function, what will be there? None will be there. If I print function, what is going to print it? None, it is going to be printed here. Okay, right, this is the concept. Otherwise, directly if I want to say from here, I am going to call function. If you this is the one case to understand. Without this function, if I am going to func equal to outer, func in function, what is there? Outer is there. If I call function, what happens? Outer is going to be called. Okay, this is the case. In both the cases you can understand. Without this function, I have shown you. Once again I will remove that one, and let us see the output what happens. So concept is same. Just observe this one. If I remove this, let us see what happens. Already we have seen. Once again I want to show you. So see, it is going to print only 2 lines, because it is returning something, but I am not going to store anything here. Now I am going to write func here. Func equal to c. Just if I call func here, let us see what happens. So see, it is going to give me what? 1 minute. Okay, here I am going to call what? func. Just it is going to print what? Some object. Is going to print some object. So how we have to call it? func of open bracket and closed bracket. If I call it here outer, let us see here. If I call outer, what happens? See what happens? It is going to print outer function. Observe carefully. It is going to print outer function, and it is going to print what? Outer function returning inner function 2 times. Why these statements are printed 2 times? Reason is, here I am calling outer function. So it will go and execute all these statements. Outer function will be executed. Outer function return, inner statement will be executed, and inner is there here. So as inner is there, see here, outer is there. Inner function is not printed. Reason is return inner is there. So it will go here. See here, I have not printed function, just I have called outer, so that it would return something to here, and here it will store in some function. But here I am writing what? Outer. So if I write in outer, nothing is going to printed. Again, the same thing what we have executed here will be printed. Okay. So whatever we have here, we have done only two statements will be printed. Then if I write function here, observe carefully, what happens? Output will be different. So only output will be what? Outer function returns inner function. So just once again I will explain, listen carefully. Here in FUNC, what is there? In FUNC, outer is there, so it will go to outer. So outer function will be printed. Next it will come to here. Outer function returns inner function is going to return. Next return inner, so it will go to here and it will print what? Inner function. And from here it is going to be sent something to here, and it is storing in FUNC. So in FUNC, what is there? None is there. So if I print FUNC, what it is going to get? We are going to get none. So let us consider I am not going to print this one. So what will be the output? Only two things is it is going to print. Okay. So this is the case of nested function. So one thing you may not understand here, for that I am going to give one more example. That is, for calling a function, see, observe this one. For calling a function, generally what we will use? For calling a function, we require parentheses. Okay, for calling a function, we require a parenthesis so that this function will be called. Next, for assigning a function, that means this is the concept of assignment. For assigning a function, it is not required to use parenthesis. That means here what I am doing, function equal to outer. This outer is going to be given to this FUNC. Next case is that this is nothing but assignment. Okay, but now if I want to aliasing is nothing but what? I can write function. Let us take this one as a function 1. I am going to take here what I will write, function 2 equal to function 1. This concept is called as what? Aliasing. Already we have seen. Here I am assigning one function to this one, FUNC1. This is different and this is different. Okay, this concept is what? For calling a function, we require a parenthesis, and for assigning one function to another one, by here no need of any, what we can say, parenthesis. This concept is called as what? Function aliasing. Already we have seen this one. Okay, so this is about what we can say, returning a function. Main thing we have to observe this one, returning a function. So when we are going to return a function, no need of writing open bracket and closed brackets. If you write open brackets and closed bracket, let us see what happens. So you'll get a clarity on this one. Just see here. So see, it is going to return what? Inner function directly. Okay, so directly we are going to return what? Inner function. That means it will go to here and it will print this one. Okay, if I write, if I am not going to write this one, just I'll call outer here. Just here, from here, what I am doing, it is calling this one and it is executing. But if I am not going to write this case, what happens? It is going to return inner. If it is going to return inner, I have to store it in somewhere. If I am not going to store it somewhere, it is not going to print that inner function. Okay, so just we have to place it what? In something, some x equal to some outer, so that we are going to get what? In x something is there. So if I print x, so print of x I have to write. Now see what happens, we will get the output clearly. Okay, right. This is the case of inner, returning a function. Now we can observe some more cases. That is, we are having the, already when I am discussing about global keyword, I told you that global keyword can also be used in the nested functions. So this one we have to understand clearly. So just I am talking only about now global keyword. That means I am talking about variables. So just I am going to take outer function and inner function, and I want to take one variable, that is a equal to 100. Now observe that this a equal to 100 is present in which function? Inside a outer function. So can I access here? Yes, I can access here, no problem. So just I am going to call inner here. Okay, just I want to call it as a inner function I want to call. so that I am going to call it as what? Inner function. So from outside I will call outer. Okay. Now see the output of this program. We are going to get 100. So what here we have to understand? If I write here, it can be accessible inside outer. Entire outer it can access. So where this inner is present, inside this outer only. So A can be accessed here. Now the case is another case. If I am going to write some value A equal to 20 here. So as I written A equal to 20 here, it can be accessed inside this inner only. Okay, so we will get output as what? We will get output as 20, no problem. But if I try to access this A here, if I try to access A here, what it is going to give? Is there any A inside outer? No, not there. Where A is present? Inside inner. So that A can be accessed only inner function only. So we are going to get what? Name A is not defined. So we are going to get what? An error. Right. So now what we have to do? Now if I write here, for example, if I write some A equal to 100. So for outer there is A, for inner there is A. For outer if I print A, it is going to give me what? 100. For inner also generally we will get 100, but here I have redefined the A value. That means local variable I have written. So for locally A value is what? 20. For outer we are going to get, that is what, 100. So first I'm going to print outer, that 100 will be printed. Next 20 will be printed. 120 is going to be printed. Now the concept is I want to use a global keyword inside this nested functions. So how we can use that global keyword? So I want to modify, for example, this is a here I want to write, just I will write a global here. I am going to write global A space A I am going to write, and here I am going to write A equal to 20. And now I am going to print same way output, and we can observe what? We can observe 120 only. Okay, what is the reason here? Is there any modification here? Nothing is going to be modified here. So just I want to write in a statement so that you will get a clarity on this one. Just what I have written here, define outer, inside that I have declared one variable, and define inner I am going to write global A, and I have written for a global value I am going to write some 20, and here I will print one statement, that is here I want to print outside, that is I want to print what? Before, here I am going to call before inner function is called, okay, right. Here what is the value I am printing? A I am going to print. Now here what I will call? I will call inner. Okay, just I will call inner. You have to observe carefully this one, right? Now I am calling inner. This is what? After inner. So observe the value what we are going to get. Now what happens? Initially I am going to take from, okay, from outer it will go to where? Here. A equal to 100 it is going to take. So next it will come to this statement, before inner function is called. A value is what? A value will printed as 100. Next I am calling what? Inner. So inner means what happens? Here it is going to this particular function, and generally what should be happen? As I have written global here, the value should be changed to 20, and here what should be printed? 20 has to be printed. But see the output what it is going to print. Both it is going to print as 100. That means if you are going to write a global inside, if you are going to write a global inside any nested functions, there is no effect for the global variables. Okay, this thing we have to understand. But now see here, if I am going to write, if I write print of A, which value is available here? For this A, what is the global value? 20 is there. If I print outside, we are going to get output as what? 20. Very important to understand this one. Once again I am repeating. So when I am going to call outer here, it is going to call what? This outer function, and initially A value will be what? 100, and will come here. Before inner function is called, A value will be what? 100 only. Again I am going to call what? Inner here. If I call inner here, what is there? Global A is there. Is it a global variable? It is not a global variable. It is a local variable for outer. Now what happens? Now a equal to 20 is going to be present here. It is not affected to this one. This a equal 20 is not affected to this one, because this is what global variable. Now after inner, what happens? It is not going to be modified. This value is not going to be modified, so it becomes what? 100 only. But if I print here a, what happens? The value will be 20. Now let us take one more variable here, a equal to 200. Now observe the output. So here what happens? So if I write a equal to 100, also output is 100, 120, because I have written some value here. If I remove this one, see output 200, 20, 20. Now understand, observe clearly. Now what I have called outer, so it goes to here. Now is there anything to execute? Nothing is there to execute, so it will come here. Before inner function is called, what is the a value that is going to print at 200? So a value is printed as what? 200. Next, I am calling what? Inner. I am calling inner, and I am changing this value as what? 20, global value. So it is printing what? A equal to 20 here. I am going to modify this one as 20. So after inner, what is going to printed? 20 is going to be printed. Observe that one. So if I write any variable here, only here, there will be no effect. There will be no effect of global keyword. So see, there is no effect here. That means for this we cannot apply a global. Global means what? For global variables only, this global keyword is going to be applied. On this a, it is not going to be applied. That is, we declared here, we declared what? We declared a global variable inside a nested function. That is what? In inner. So in the outer function, this a is not having any effect of global, because global means what? Outside of all the functions that will be act as a global. Okay. So if you want to modify the outer function variables, we cannot modify with global. So what to do if I want to, from inner function, if I want to modify the outer function variable, what has to be done? So then there we have to go for a non-local variable. Okay, just I will discuss about this one within two or 3 minutes. It will be completed. So what I have to do here, just in the place of, just I will take a equal to 100 before taking any keyword. Just I am going to it in this way. I will remove this one also. So what here we can understand, what is the value of a in outer? 100. What is the value of a in inner? 20. Now let us execute before going to keep any value, any keyword. So outside I have defined, here nothing is there. That means in globally no value is there, so that here we are getting what? Error. So if I remove this one, we will get a correct output. That is what? 100, 100 only. Reason is what? This 100 is printed here, and after inner also what happens? This 100 will not be modified, because this is what? Inner here. In inner I am not printing, I am printing outer. That means what? External I am printing. So this a equal to 20 is visible only within this inner only. But where these two statements are present? These two statements are present outside the inner, that is in outer function. So in both the cases we are going to get 100. Now the case is, I want to use the concept of inner. That means inside this one I want to print of inner value. Inner value I want to print as what? A. That means inside a, I am printing a value inside a inner. Now observe what it is going to give me. It is going to give me 20, because in inner function what is there? 20 only. It will not print 100. Now the concept is, I want to apply a non-local to this one. So observe carefully, non-local is a keyword. So what this keyword is for? Non-local is used to declare this variable. Here I am going to use a non-local variable for a, keyword for a variable inside a nested function. Okay, to make what? Is not local to the, and that means what here? If I write non-local, that indicates what? This a is not local to this one. It is non-local. That means it will belong to this a. This is non-local. That means it reflects to this a. It is not a local. So that means what? I am going to change this a. First it is 100. Now I am changing it as what? 20. So after I am calling this inner, we are going to get value as what? 20. Observe this one once. So see what happens here. We got 20. Once again, I will explain clearly. Listen carefully. When I'm going to write non-local here, that indicates what? this A is not local to this inner. This A is non-local. That means this A is nothing but this A which is present in outer. So already A is what? For A I am having 100. So first I have created what? A as 100. Okay, some 100 value is there here. Okay, right. Now again, so I am not going into this inner, I am coming to this print statement. So before inner function, A value will be what? 100 only. So output is what? 100 will be printed. Next I am calling what? Inner. So inner, if I call inner, what happens? Non-local A. So non-local A means it will reflect to this A. So that A I am modifying to what? 20. So this is will be modified to 20, and I am printing inner value. So it will printed as what? A will be printed as 20 only, because here this A is nothing but this A only. This because this A is a non-local, that means it is pointing to this one only. If I am not going to write these two statements here, the output will be what? 100 only. But here I am modifying A as 20, so that we are going to get output as what? 20 here. After this statement, we are coming back to here. After inner, A is what? A is what? Here also it is 20. So this is the case of non-local keyword. So non-local and global are keywords that can be applied for your variables. So this is about nested functions, and we have also seen two keywords, that is what? Local and non-local and global. So the points about this non-local is, if we need to modify here, observe that thing here. If you want to modify the value of non-local, that is this is a non-local for this inner. If I want to modify this non-local variable inside the nested function, then we have to declare this variable as what? Non-local. Okay, otherwise a local variable with that means if you are not going to declare this one as a non-local, then local variable with A, that is with this name, is created inside a nested function. That means if I am not going to write it as a local non-local here, what happens? This A is belonging, this A acts as a what? Local to it. So A will be local to this one only. So this 100 is accessed here, it's here also. So now see the output here. So what happened? Here after that, what has printed? 100 is printed. Reason is this A is visible to here itself because it is a local. If I make it as a non-local, that indicates what? That is a non-local. It is not a local. So now observe the output. So see, here 100 is there, here 20 is there. So this is about non-local and global keywords which can be applied for your variables. So in next session, very important concept we are going to see, that is decorators, which can also be called as function decorators. Okay, thank you.